What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast. We thank you guys for tuning in. Happy New Year, of course. Hopefully, 2021 is better than 2020. I mean, you can't really do much worse, right? I mean,
Right.
You probably could. I should probably stop before I get ahead of myself. But hopefully this year's better. We got a lot to get to today. The Denver Nuggets. I mean, man, struggle bus. Should we be panicking? against the Oakland Raiders?
Finally,
Yeah. It's
the pain is almost over.
Yes, rest up, sweet kings. They can't hurt us anymore. Okay, so we'll discuss that, preview that, and if it's best for the Broncos. Listen, if it is best for the Broncos to lose this game or win this game,
You know,
I
there's
think you guys
actually
know where
people.
we're gonna go.
There's actually people out there that believe that winning this game is more important.
Yeah. Well, those are the super
Yeah.
diehards that just care about, that think that one win against a non-playoff Raiders team can switch a culture, which is what I was yelled at about last year when I said that they should lose games. And people were like, you're stupid. Losing creates losing culture. Winning creates
guess
a winning
what?
culture.
Well,
I
guess
was like,
what?
well,
You've
we've
been
still been losing.
You've been losing for the past 4 years, so you're already in a losing culture. It's not gonna change.
That's exactly what I was trying to explain to people. But, apparently that just doesn't get through all the time. But we'll talk about all that stuff. Where do you want to get to first? You want to start with the Nuggets? You want to start with the Broncos?
Let's get the Nuggets over with, because I'm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they started off 0-2. The first Kings game, you know what? That's just lackadaisical. They let their foot off the gas pedal. Despite Will Barton not saying in a post game, I mean, you got to go hard to the hoop. I mean, it's overtime. If he dunks that, they go up 4 with like 40 seconds left. The game is pretty much out of reach. Instead, he lollygags to the hoop, gets it blocked by De'Aaron Fox, and the rest is history. We know how that goes. The Clippers game, listen, I'm not going to put too much stock into that game. The Clippers were ultra motivated for that one. The Nuggets had one of those historically bad nights shooting. And the Clippers had one of those just unconscious nights. They could hit everything. When Patrick Beverley went 2 of 3 from 3 and Serge Ibaka and Nick Batum were just hitting every shot, I was just like, okay, yeah, there's just no way. And Jamal Murray in that game, I mean, to his credit, he showed up in the fourth quarter, I think it was, or was that the Kings game?
It wasn't the Kings game.
Okay, I mean the second Kings game.
Oh,
he didn't play the second Kings.
He
game.
didn't play.
So
the
yeah,
second
it was the Clippers
one, yeah.
game. So yeah, I mean he started off slow in that Clippers game, and I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling this. And then he turns it on in the fourth quarter, scores the majority of his points there. But at that point, the game's already out of reach. And there was a point in the game where he had an open 3 late in the game in the fourth quarter, where if he hits that, they knock it down to 8, completely changes momentum. Instead, he misses it. And the Clippers, I believe, went down and hit a 3, and then now you're down 14 again. So there's that game. You beat the Houston Rockets. Good. Houston is a struggling team this year. James Harden is still there, so that's still a competitive team. So a good win there. And then you go to the Kings on a back-to-back. Listen, that's a team that you should beat. But again, the Nuggets, they had a great third quarter. They were up 9, I think, going into the fourth, and then they just looked out of gas. And they were taking bad shots. Jokic just didn't really play aggressive in the fourth quarter, I didn't think. Jamal Murray obviously sat out with an injured elbow, so that didn't really help matters. And now you're sitting at 1-3. You're fourth in the division. And here's what I'll say.
Well, have you heard about Porter?
Yes, I did see that today, that he's going to be out tonight, which I don't think bodes well.
He'll be out. He'll be out multiple games.
Yeah,
due to COVID protocol.
And in those next few games, tonight you have Phoenix, so that doesn't bode well because Phoenix is playing really well, obviously. And then you got Minnesota, who's first in the division. They're only at 2-2, but you have a home and away with Minnesota. So you go Phoenix tonight. Sunday you go to Minnesota. Tuesday you're here at Minnesota, and then Thursday you have Dallas. So I would assume that maybe MPJ is back by that Dallas game, maybe not. That's next Thursday, so maybe he's back in time for that. Maybe he's back for that Philadelphia game. But that's a hellacious stretch right there. Phoenix, Minnesota twice, Dallas, and Philadelphia. And this is what I told you. I was concerned with their start, and now me betting the under, like me choosing the under on that 45, I feel really good about it now. Because listen, it's just their schedule to start is really tough. But also, I think too, and I'll say this first: I don't think we should be panicking. Now, should there be some acknowledgement of some red flags? Yes. Listen, the Nuggets are going to be a tough watch on defense all year this year. That's just not going to happen. That's just going to be a given. They're going to have to outscore guys, teams every game. And then again, you have Jamal Murray. It's okay. We're only 3-4 games in, but we're seeing signs of same old Jamal. So that's something to keep an eye on. Jokic looks incredible. I mean, he's almost averaging a triple double through all these games. And then outside of that, I mean, the bench unit is just you don't know what you're going to get there. Will Barton looks like Will Barton can't shoot consistently, but I mean, he can take it to the hole. So it's just there's a lot of things that should be some red flags on this team. Am I concerned? No. Do I think they suck? No, because I'm looking at Tankathon right now, and if the season just ended today, Memphis, they were a playoff team last year. I get, John Morant's hurt now, but they're 1-3. Dallas, I mean, that's a team that a guy like Max Kellerman had as his sleeper. They're 1-3. You obviously have the Nuggets at 1-3. Houston's 1-2. Toronto's 1-3. Milwaukee's 2-3. Portland's 2-2, a team that I thought could make it to the Western Conference Finals. So it's early, and also I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be surprising to people that teams that didn't play a lot in the bubble are some of the best teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at you, Orlando, at 4-1.
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. Well, Atlanta. I mean, that's a team with a lot of talent. Like they might make a lot of noise in the playoffs. That game versus Brooklyn, they scored. It was 140 points for both teams in regulation. You don't see that type of score end in regular. That's an overtime score. They did that in regulation. So I think part of it, is, yes, there's real weaknesses on this Nuggets team. Yes, that we can acknowledge. Also, I don't think we can discount the fact that, and I had this kind of back and forth with someone on Twitter the other day, that there's a real fatigue. I think a mental fatigue and probably some physical fatigue that the Nuggets are facing right now. I mean, they had 87 days to turn around from playoff intensity, high, energy, level of play, and now you're back to this. And the argument against it is, oh, they're a young team. This should benefit them. Well, yeah, and the guy compared it, which I thought was pretty funny. He was like, I used to party and drink like 6 nights a week and then go to my job at 6 a.m. And I'm like, well, you can't really compare your party benders to playing a 82, 72 game regular basketball season where that's physical wear and tear and mental wear and tear, the travel and all that stuff. So I think there's some of that too. And we know Jamal Murray hated the short time off. I mean, at his media day, he was pissed off about it. So I think part of it is that too. I think there's some real fatigue there. So I think it's a little bit of a combination of both things. But if we get like 15, 20 games in and the Nuggets are still looking like this, then I'm going to be concerned. I still think they'll be fine. I still think they'll be a playoff team. I might have to lower my expectations because I think you had them in the top 3, right? I had them like 4 through 6, I think.
I had them in top 3, but I'll say this. I mean, if you look at the top 3, well, here, first thing, if you look at the teams that all played in the conference finals, so you got the Heat, who are 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Celtics, right? That was the other team, or was it?
Yes.
The Celtics are 3-2. The Lakers are 3-2. And Denver is 1-3. So when you look at the conference, the teams that play in the conference finals, they're all right around the same. Like everyone has, all 4 teams have 2 or more losses. So it is partly, that short break where it's just, I thought initially going into the season, I thought it would actually help teams because I thought these other teams wouldn't. When you don't play a game for so long, I just thought it would really hurt some of these teams just shooting wise. I thought shooting percentages would be lower with those teams and whatever. And to some degree it is, but there's other teams like Cleveland who started 3-0. Atlanta's 3-1 right now. Orlando's started 4-0. So I think it's that break did help some teams. Again, though, I also think that Atlanta's really good.
Mhm.
Cleveland has lost 2 straight, so they're falling back to earth. Orlando got destroyed last night by Philly. The only like Philly's 4-1, and Philly's a good team. I think they came out motivated. New head coach, that motivation is there for them to prove something. Indiana, they always tend to start off really fast, so I it's hard to get a read on them. And then the Clippers. I mean, obviously they have something to prove, and so they're going to come out and and just play hard every night. Um, I'll say this though. I don't know if the Nuggets were in conversations about Chris Paul, but they really should have gone for him because he has changed Phoenix completely. And that's a guy that would have really helped this team. And it's just that's tough. Phoenix. They might be a top 3 seed this year. Phoenix is good. They're really, really good, and Chris Paul is just a perfect fit there.
Yeah, and it feels like Devin Booker is really stepping into that prime of his career. Like he is like just entering the peak of his powers right now.
Well, and it's not like they're just an offensive team. Like you would think that Phoenix team would just be 120 points, giving 110. They are giving up the least amount of points per game right now throughout the season in 5 games. They've played the most games out of all the teams, tied with a bunch, and they have given up the least amount. Them, New Orleans, and then Philly. Think about this though. There are only 3 teams in the league right now giving up less than 100 points per game. Those are the 3: Phoenix, New Orleans, and Philly. That tells you there's a lot of tired legs out there. A lot.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. And that's why I don't know how much. And I know Nuggets fans are going to hate it, but I just don't know how realistic it is to expect this team to do and duplicate and replicate what they did last year.
I'll say this. I think when it comes to the play, I think motivation is a big factor in this regular season. And I think as long as they make the playoffs, you got to get there in the West. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And I think they do. And when they do, I think when it comes down to the playoffs, they are going to be a tough out. And we've seen it the last 2 years. I mean, they are a team that they elevate in the playoffs. Their 2 most important players, they elevate in the playoffs. And you can't say that about a lot of teams in the league. So that's something where I'm not worried about them in the playoffs really at all. We also haven't seen JaMychal Green. And we are still working out a lot of kinks with MPJ in that starting lineup. So obviously him being out these next few games, that's going to really hurt that. But like you said, I'm not concerned. I'm not panicking. But once you start to see, like, I would say once you get to March, that's where I would because I think they're gonna hover right around 500 for a while. I wouldn't be shocked after 30 games they're like 17-13. And then I would say right around March is where they should kick it up a notch. And you're going to start seeing the really good teams like the Lakers, the Nuggets, hopefully, teams like Boston, Milwaukee, those teams that were deep playoff teams a year ago, Miami once they get Jimmy Butler back, you're going to start to see a change. You're going to start to see a shift in the standings. And those teams will quickly rise up because they're going to go on winning streaks. They're going to focus in. Those teams right now, I really don't think they care right now. I don't think Denver cares right now. I don't think the Lakers really care right now. Boston, they cared that first game, and then, so I don't know. Another weird thing too, and I want to get your take on this, is the scheduling with a lot of teams playing each other back to back. I hate it. I don't know about you. I hate it. I do not like it. I get it. I get why, and it makes sense. But man, I yeah, it's not good. It's not a good
I
way
think
to do it.
I think it would be better if they decided that. See, here's what I hate. If you're gonna do that, do it like they're gonna have to do Phoenix in later this month on the 22nd and 23rd, where it's a home and home for Phoenix,
Hmm.
or make it at one spot. Don't have them travel to one place and then the other, and I don't like that. Now, granted, if I would prefer not to have them do this,
Usually there's
especially
one a year. Each team will usually have just
right.
one a year.
Yeah, I
Um,
prefer them not to do this. And they do. It's not something that's completely new, but if they're gonna do it, I'd rather them do it like that. Just have it in one place because I think the travel kind of accentuates it a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. But I mean, I get it. Like you meant the logistical part of it. You have
Hmm.
to get these games in somehow. My biggest concern right now, and Michael Malone has talked about this a little bit, is the minutes that the Nuggets starters,
The
specifically
bench is
Jokic and
awful.
Murray, are playing right now.
The bench is
Uh,
awful.
yeah, and that's a part of it. Is and they asked Malone about this, and he said, "Well, part of the reason I have to play these guys so much is because our bench is struggling. So once we get that figured out, I would love to rest Nikola. Like Nikola's at 38 minutes right now,
Yeah.
and Jamal's at 34, and MPJ's at 29. I would love for them to get that around 25 30 max. But if we could hover between that 24 to 27, 28 range for those guys right now, that would be awesome. But you need your bench to do better, and the Nuggets aren't doing that right now. And if you do that, say if you give the Nuggets that rest, well, then you're flirting with how you're playing right now. Then you're flirting with having to fight like hell to keep in the playoff race once things kind of get down the stretch here. But that's the trade-off. Do you play all these guys heavy minutes now and then maybe rest them later? That's just something I think bear something to keep an eye on as we get through the season. It's just the minutes and the load because I'm just worried, and that was one of my concerns that we talked about before the season is just the minutes. How much are we going to play this? Right now, I think for the Nuggets, let's just get into the playoffs. Any way we can do it, let's just get in. Because once we're in, I think this team could be a problem. It's unlikely that there's probably going to be any fans, if at all, at these playoff games. I mean, maybe there will be, best case, like 6,000, 10,000. That even seems like a lot, but maybe there'll be like some sort of presence of fans at these games. But it's not going to be the same type of home court advantage that we're used to in the playoffs. So I think at this point, if I'm Malone, as much as you want to win these early games, maybe you just game manage a little bit for the first month and a half of the season, like the Lakers are. I mean, LeBron's playing 17 minutes or 20, or let's see, I guess he's at 31 minutes a night. And Anthony, that doesn't seem right. 30 minutes for those guys? Oh, that doesn't seem right. They're already playing 30. Wow. All right. I would think though that the Nuggets would want to keep that lower, and I think the Lakers would too. 33 for LeBron and 31 for AD. That seems like a lot for a team that's coming off the finals. But I think right now, let's game manage for about the first month and a half. If we can get out of that, couple games over 500, 500, I think that's best. But we've got to be aware of how much we're using these guys, and something we talked about with Ryan Blackburn. I mean, we got to stagger minutes with the
Yeah.
starters in the
Yeah.
bench unit, and I think we saw that a little bit more in that last couple games where Jokic was on the floor. Has to be one of those guys. Now, obviously, MPJ won't be because he's going to miss the next few games, but has to be either Murray or Jokic out there. Even Will Barton now with that second unit, it just has to be.
Yeah, the not staggering minutes, that's um I every great team does it. So, I don't know why Malone doesn't want to do it. Going into the season, there was all this talk about, oh, look how great the bench is and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, man. Campazzo he's not good. He's not good. I hate to say it, and I know a lot of fans love him.
Mhm.
He's not good. He can't score. Even if he gets to the rim, he can't score there because he's too small. Um, his passing sure is really good, but there's a lot of turnovers, so it just counters it. He needs to be out of the rotation. You need to shrink it. You really need to, and it doesn't really make sense when you want to, I guess, limit your minutes, but your bench needs to play more minutes. So if you go down to a 9-man rotation, then that means Barton needs to play 25. Guys like Monte need to play like 20. Whatever. Your bench needs to play more minutes because Campazzo isn't good enough. I don't know. I don't know if you want to just throw Bol in there and replace him. I'm looking at, if you look at the minutes right now, Monte's playing 27, so that's good. Will is playing close to 27, but then this is where it needs to raise. Hartenstein needs more than 9. That's gonna help Jokic's minutes. PJ Dozier, I would get him up to 20. And then when, obviously Jermichael Green coming back will probably knock Campazzo out of the rotation, I'm guessing. And he'll take that 7 to 10 minutes. I would even play him up to 15. And those guys need to play in between 15 and 27 minutes per game. And that will at least lower Jokic's numbers. Jamal down to 30. Even Gary's playing 31 right now. So yeah, Paul Millsap, you didn't get him down to like 22, 23. So it's just, I don't know what other options you have. Looking at this roster, you got a lot of young talent, but the problem is that Malone doesn't trust any of your young talent. So it really makes your bench a lot worse when he doesn't trust anyone. And maybe that's just, the 3 guys that left, he trusted a lot. He trusted Jeremy Grant. He trusted Mason Plumlee a lot. He trusted Torrey Craig. So maybe he's just trying to figure out who he wants to trust. But Malone needs to figure it out and he needs to start trusting guys because you can't. He just can't play this hardball thing with these guys right now. It's early in the season. You're playing Jokic 38 minutes. You just can't. You can't play hardball with these guys. You have to let these young guys grow. That's the only way to get the Jokic's minutes down, Jamal's minutes down. You just have to trust these young guys, and I don't know. He just has trust issues, and it's driving me nuts. I mean, even a guy like Hartenstein, he should be getting 15 minutes a game, not 9. I don't get it.
Yeah, and I think it makes me think of something that Matt Moore said shortly after the playoffs ended and we had him on the show, not our show, but the show that I work on here in town. And one thing he said is that he thinks with this Nuggets season, and this was before any preseason, anything like that, he said, I think the Nuggets will be a worse regular season team, but I think they'll be fine come playoff time. And one of the reasons why the Nuggets have been so great in the regular season is because why? Because they have a deep bench, right? That's all we've heard for years is how deep their bench is, and they're 8, 9, 10 deep. The Nuggets don't seem to have that right now, and I think that completely coincides with what Matt was saying, because what happens when it comes to the playoffs? The lineup shrink to 7, 8,
Right.
maybe 9 guys,
Yeah.
and I would say the Nuggets have a really good 7 to 9 guys. I mean, Nikola, MPJ, Jamal, Monte, Will, Paul, Gary's going to be in there. What is that? So that's 7 right there. I mean, you would figure Hartenstein is probably going to be in there. That's 8.
Or Jermichael Green. Jermichael Green.
Or Jermichael Green or PJ Dozier. So I think come playoffs, I think it'll be fine. But right now, what we're seeing is a team that's kind of out of. And another thing too is they have to get chemistry down. When you lose three guys like that who are in tune with this team, you have to find ways to fit this new team together, and that's also part of the reason for the struggles. And part of that too is they have a second-year player, third-year player, I guess second though if you don't really count that first year that he sat out, and MPJ in the starting lineup, and they're still trying to figure out where he's working out with the team. And that's what Jokic was asked the other night, and he said, we're still finding how to utilize him best and how to get him the ball. Speaking of Jeremy Grant, though, you mentioned him. He's the leading scorer over there in Detroit. I mean, it's looking like it's paying off early. 23 points per game, 6 rebounds. He's only shooting 37% from three if you round up, 47 from the field, 56 from 2-point. But
and that proves my point to where he wants to be a wing guy. He wants to be a 3. The Nuggets wanted him at the 4, and I didn't see it. Even when the Nuggets kept him, I did not see him being a 4. I just, the way he plays, the way he wants to play, it's just it doesn't work like that. So that was, I remember when we were talking about, with him in the rotation, I just didn't. I had mentioned, put him at the 3. And have MPJ come off the bench along with Barton and find someone else at the 4, or start Paul at the 4. And that's what they did in the playoffs. They started Jeremy Grant essentially at the 3. So that's, he did not want to be a power forward. He did not want to play inside. He did not want to guard those guys. He wants to be a wing guy. And we'll see how. That's why I said that JaMychal Green is a better fit in Denver, just because he's willing to play that role that they need him to play, especially when they need MPJ to be starting at the 3. So we will see when JaMychal Green gets back. I'm very curious to see how that works out. But I'm telling you, if James Harden is, if you have enough.
That's the issue, right? Because I saw a lot of that on Twitter too, was after that Houston game, you're seeing what this Nuggets team is doing. You're like, okay, this is a good team, but the ceiling feels way more visible and present with this team than it did with last year's team. Even at least in the playoffs. Now things could change. Granted, we're only 4 games in, so things could change. But it feels like the Nuggets don't have enough scoring outside of, I guess it just depends on what you're going to get from MPJ. Because when MPJ's in there, he doesn't. And someone also pointed this out on Twitter the other night. MPJ has had his best shooting nights and best performances when Jamal's not playing. And I think that makes sense because obviously Jamal needs the ball. Jamal's going to take those shots. And then those shots go to MPJ. Like in that Sacramento game, I think he had 30 and 10 in that game. So he looked great. But when Jamal is in, he's relegated to the stand in the corner guy.
I'll say this,
when we swing it to you.
MPJ, yes, he's averaging 19 a game, and he's had a couple of really good games. But when you look at the plus-minus, if you look at the plus-minus in that Sacramento game, every starter was in the plus. MPJ was -9. He had his defense is still questionable. He had the lowest. Well, he's giving up more than he's giving. That's the problem. I don't care if your defense is questionable. You cannot give up more than what you're giving up, or more than what you're giving. You cannot do that. So that's the issue with MPJ. Is look, if you're giving us 30, but you're giving up 20, fine, right? Or if you're giving up 20, but you're giving up, or if you're giving in 20, but you're giving up 15, fine. But you cannot give us 30 and then give 40. Like you cannot do that. That's essentially what he did. He gave 30 points. He was a -9. He gave up 40.
Yeah, but that's the epitome of the MPJ experience. But what do we want to do? Do we want to ride through those pains now? That way, hopefully, he corrects that later. Or do you want to stay? Because this is why Malone kept him in the role that he did. Okay, now you're seeing.
Well, yeah, I get it. You gotta, you gotta work it out. But the problem is, there's no one Here's the problem with this team, and maybe with JaMychal Green coming back, it'll help. But there's no one behind him that's gonna help him defensively. Jokic can't help him because Jokic can barely take care of himself defensively,
Mhm.
right? He's an underrated defender, but he as far as help defense, it's not there.
Yeah, and individually,
Paul
he's
Millsap,
questionable at times.
I mean, dude, Paul Millsap looks like he's 80 out there.
Mhm.
His defense is no longer a reason why he should be in the starting lineup. It's just not there anymore. Um, so if when JaMychal Green comes back, he's gonna be on the bench at first, but that's something that's gonna have to change. And Gary's been fine. I'm not really concerned about Gary. But Paul Millsap looks. I mean, he just he looks like a guy who needs to retire. I don't know if there's a power forward out there that they can go out and get, um, in a trade or anything like that. Unless JaMychal Green really is the answer, which I mean, I think JaMychal Green can be better than what Paul Millsap is giving you. But I don't know how much. The problem is they don't have anyone to help MPJ out there. It's funny though when you there was a lineup that they had at one point in the preseason where they had Bol Bol, Hartenstein, and MPJ, and they were playing a zone. So Bol Bol was in the middle. Hartenstein and MPJ were the two others lower, and that helped a lot. And their defense was actually great because one, the guards were playing really well up top, but MPJ, you can hide him in a zone, and not only that, he has two bigs behind him that are great help defense. Right, Bobo isn't very good one-on-one defensively, but he's a great help defender, and so that zone allows him to be solely a help defender. So I think this is a team that if that's something that you want to run in the future, you need to run a zone with them because they have the length to run a zone, and I don't know how effective. The problem is I don't think Nikola Jokic is effective in his zone. So that's where you run into issues. I don't know unless you have him out on the wing and you have someone else in the center. Because I just don't think, Nikola Jokic, I just don't think is a good help defender. So it's just there's a lot of defensive issues with this team, and I don't know how you fix that in the future other than moving Jokic to a power forward, and you go out and get someone like an Andre Drummond, like a big center to play. Because
that's why I think we were hoping for like a guy like Serge Ibaka to come in, someone to stabilize that unit, and I don't think they can fix it, to be honest with you. I think this is just what it's just gonna be. I mean, unless they trade for somebody, but I think this is just what we're gonna have to roll with for this year. And it's ultimately going to get them eliminated in the playoffs because they're going to run up against a team with wings like the Clippers or the Lakers, and they can't stay in front of those guys. I mean, listen, they're getting cooked by Harrison Barnes. So if you can't stay in front of Harrison Barnes, then there's no way you're staying in front of a guy like LeBron, AD, Kawhi, Paul George.
I mean, Sacramento was hitting everything on Denver. I don't know what it is about Sacramento and Denver, but it's been like that the last couple of years too.
Like, well, and De'Aaron Fox gives them issues too. Like nobody can stay.
They hit everything, and it's just one of those teams. Like that's just a bad matchup. Again, the NBA, especially right now, it's all about matchups. It's not necessarily who's the better team. A lot of times, if you have a good matchup and you do a good job of taking advantage of it, I mean, you're more times than not gonna win. So that's why the playoffs are so important in matchups and not necessarily what seed you are. So I don't know. I mean, look, Nikola Jokic, he's incredible. Jamal Murray needs to figure it out. Even in his good game, it wasn't good, at least in my opinion. And what he needs to be, it wasn't a good game to me. It was his best game of the season, but wasn't a good game. But yeah, Nikola Jokic. I mean, if this team starts winning games, he's the front runner to win MVP. I mean, he's
Oh yeah,
averaging
he's making a hell of a case right now.
he's
for
averaging
MVP.
25, 13 and a half assists and 11 rebounds.
Yeah.
He's averaging more assists than rebounds. A center is averaging more assists than rebounds. His PER is it's just but again, he's playing 38 minutes. So, that's going to go down, which therefore his numbers will go down. But like I said, before the season started, we were making our bold predictions. And I said if MPJ and Jamal Murray take more of the scoring load, Nikola Jokic will average a triple-double. And I think you're seeing when, especially with MPJ out there, because Jokic gets a lot of assists off of MPJ, whether it's his contested threes or his cutting or just like dump offs. He's going to get, if MPJ averages 20 a game this year, I'm telling you, Jokic is going to average triple-double.
Yeah.
The
He
majority
very
of his assists are
may.
coming off of MPJ.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
insane. Like, those two are really figuring it out. My concern is Jamal and MPJ. That's my concern. But Jokic with anyone, Jokic could play with anyone in the league. He could play with the most selfish player in the league, and he would be great. He is so not. He's just. It's not just because he's so unselfish. He's just so good. He's such a great passer, and he puts teams in binds. And when you have that other great player, that great scorer, if James Harden came here, I'm telling you, you'd have two guys that would be averaging near triple doubles. I mean, like Jokic would be averaging 15, 11, and 13, and Harden would be averaging 28, 7 and 9. It's just look. If I'm Denver, if Jamal isn't figuring things out, I'm willing to give up Jamal Murray for James Harden. I am.
Wow, you have completely turned heel on Jamal. I did not see that coming.
Well,
You've completely just 180 on Jamal.
The only reason why I think it's not necessarily 180 on Jamal. Some of it is, but I think it's more of 180 on James Harden. I think James Harden would work really well here. I think it works. I think he works.
I don't know.
I'm telling
I don't
you,
know.
James Harden with a great center. Look, the Dwight Howard experiment didn't work because Dwight Howard was terrible. James Harden with a center, I'm telling you, it's going to work. If you have a great center like Philly, if Philly can get James Harden and pair him with Joel Embiid, I'm telling you it works. Nikola Jokic with James Harden will work. He needs a big. The way he plays, I'm telling you, it just that
I'm just not convinced.
if
that
James
he would
Harden
change
goes
his
to
play
Philly,
style.
if James Harden goes, he doesn't need to change his play style.
I think so.
Not with
you're
with
coming to a team
Jokic.
that's-
Not with Jokic. Because remember, if Denver is training for James Harden, you're more than likely giving up Jamal. If you can keep MPJ great, and MPJ can still play the way he's playing, look, your bench is going to be a lot shortened, and you're going to have to figure things out with the bench. But I'm telling you, Jokic and James Harden, I think, would be great together. I think it works. Because of the way,
I don't know.
more because the way Jokic plays, he is more than happy to average 15 a game, but average 15 assists a game. If those two paired up, that's what the numbers would look like. He would average 15, 13, and 12. I mean, hell, he's averaging 13 and a half assists right now.
That's with guys who can't shoot consistently.
I think it works.
I do.
I think it works. If I'm Denver, I'm taking, and Jamal Murray is like I'm willing to wait till the trade deadline because I think Houston is gonna wait till the trade deadline. And by the trade deadline, if Jamal isn't showing me anything, at least to the point where, because look, Houston is gonna get desperate enough where they want one young really good piece. I don't think, unless Jamal Murray comes out and he looks like the first game of the season throughout the first half of the whole season, then they probably won't take Jamal Murray. Even then, though, I think they'd be willing to like take a shot on him. So all Jamal has to do is average his 17, whatever he's doing right now, 17, 4, and 3. You can get James Harden for Jamal Murray without giving up MPJ. You can give up Jamal and Bol Bol or whatever you want to do. You can pull this off.
I think I've cooled on the James Harden idea, and I get what you're saying. But if you did pair them up, I mean, you have two of the best playmakers in the NBA right now, two of the highest IQ guys in the NBA, two guys that could score at will at any moment. And
there's
I can't
not
imagine
going to be
what
an
a
ego
pick and
issue.
roll would be like with those guys.
There wouldn't be an ego issue.
Well, I mean,
there
no,
wouldn't.
Jokic. I don't know. We just his personality and I mean, yes, on paper, yes. I mean, that would be amazing. But just because it looks good on paper doesn't mean it always.
No, I'm not thinking about it on paper. I'm telling you, I think the way those two play, I think it works. I think it works, and it's mainly because of Jokic. The way Jokic plays, and his just the way he thinks about the game. I think it fits. I think it fits really well.
Yeah.
And
well,
I'm telling you,
I think it's something they'll have to think about.
The last however many years, I really, every time they've paired James Harden with a point guard, I'm like, why? Why are you doing it? He is a point guard. Why are you putting another point guard with him? It just, I think it works. If James Harden goes to a team with a really good center, they are pretty much instantly going to be my favorites to win.
I mean, we'll see. I don't foresee him finishing the year out in Houston, and I do agree with you though. Like, if you're the Nuggets, it's okay. We'll wait on Jamal. But I mean, if we're getting to the trade deadline and he's still hovering around 16 right now, he's at 17-7. So it's right around his career average. I think he's like 16 to 18. He's 17, 4 and 2. I think before the year I said, can you give me like between 23 and 25 and like 4 and 6, I think is where I was. So,
and look, I haven't been a Jamal, hater the last 3-4 years. Jamal's my favorite player on the team.
That's why I'm surprised. Like, now you're advocating trade, and I'm just like, whoa.
Like, as far as favorite players go, he's my, like, not Jokic. It's Jamal. Jamal has been my favorite player on this team for the last 3 years. And I'm telling you, the Jamal with MPJ scares me. It really scares me. I don't
think it's gonna work long term.
I know. And who you taking? I'm taking MPJ.
Well, one guy has the potential to be an all-star, and one guy has the potential to possibly be a top 10 player. So I think I would choose MPJ as well. One guy is also younger. Now, however, you do got injury issues with one guy, but you have consistency issues with another guy. And we've seen the consistency issues guy explode in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I hope they can figure it out long term. I really do, because that is a big three that could wreck the league.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, not all big threes can sustain together. The OKC big three didn't sustain itself.
That was because of the team, though. That wasn't because of the three.
It was right, but think about it now. If those guys were still on the same team, do you think it would work together as well? Because we just saw Russell Westbrook and James Harden pair back up, and it didn't work.
Yeah, so I don't know. As far as
I think it'd be better. I think if Kevin and James were playing together, I think it'd still work.
Yeah, I'll say they were really growing together, so I don't know. And all three, their chemistry was great together. So like, I don't know.
Well, I don't know how those guys was coming off the bench too. So
yeah,
They weren't all starting together.
But
Like the
they were
Nuggets now have
playing
their
a
guys.
lot of minutes together though. I don't know. I mean, they made it to the NBA Finals, so like you can't say like their chemistry wasn't good. So I don't know. That's hard to say because at that point their chemistry was really good. Now when James Harden leaves and becomes the MVP that he is, and Westbrook eventually becomes an MVP, and then they pair up together after, that's probably why chemistry didn't work. If they played together from the beginning, like they were, and they had stayed together, I think it would have been fine. Westbrook probably would have never become that MVP. To be fair, James Harden probably wouldn't have either. So, you know, roles are different. I don't know. That's really hard to say, but I don't know. I just the James Harden thing is really if you want to win now, if you're willing to continue to wait, fine. But man, Jamal needs to show something here, and the chemistry with Jamal and MPJ needs to get fixed. And if I'm, and I think maybe I have a little bit less patience, but if I'm Connolly, my deadline is trade deadline this year.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I agree.
Especially with the only reason why the trade deadline to me is by the trade deadline this year is because of James Harden. Now, if James Harden gets traded tomorrow, then there's no one out there, so you just got to wait till after the season.
Got to write it out at that point.
You just got to write it out.
I just think it's just a weird year. I get where you're at because that would have been me if we were going into a normal season. But I get where you're at with Jamal. It's still frustrating, but I'm willing to give him at least till the trade deadline to really make this. I think is the year.
I mean, I am too.
This is the year. I think I'm gonna make my final okay, this is just what Jamal is, and this is what we can expect from Jamal.
Yeah.
He has the talent to be great. It's just finding that consistency. I don't know why it's an issue for some guys. Like I don't get it. And when you play with a guy, your best player is naturally passive and can get you into spots and areas on the floor. I don't get it. But the Nuggets, listen, they are in a window, and they have, and I'll say it right now, Nikola Jokic is a future Hall of Famer. Okay, he's already I think 9th on the triple doubles list. He's 3 behind James Harden, who's a guard first off, and Jokic is a center. Jokic is only 25, 26 in his 6th year. They are in a window. I get MPJ and Jamal, they're a part of the core, but the foundational piece, at least for right now, continues to be Nikola Jokic. And every year, if you're not building the team around his strengths and who he can elevate, then you're just doing it wrong. So he's insane, and I think he could probably prove both you and I wrong when we say that a center can't be the best player on a team to win a championship, because I could easily see a Nikola Jokic led team winning a championship someday. Now they're going to have to be built a certain way, with shooters and defenders around him, similar to a LeBron James team, ironically enough. But if you can do that, you would have a really good shot at hoisting a Larry O'Brien.
I also think, look at, I guess you either need to look at the San Antonio teams. I think that's a little bit different though, different time. I would look at the Dallas team, because they had Dirk, right? Dirk played center for a lot of his career.
Did he? I thought he was just a power forward.
I think so. I think he was always, when the big difference to me is when they got Tyson Chandler, and he was the true center on that team. Dirk is listed as a power forward. But I think a lot of times that he played at center. I don't remember them having another center along with him. Other than Tyson Chandler, and that's when they won.
D'Alembert, Spencer Haywood, I think those type of guys. But if you look at those teams now, I wouldn't say that Dirk is the playmaker that
No,
Nikola.
but
I don't
what I'm
really remember
saying is
Dirk being a great
no, but
passer
what
or
I'm saying is
playmaker.
defensively.
Yeah.
I look, Andre. I don't know if Andre Drummond, if he'll be available or anything like that, but that's enticing. To pair with Jokic. I don't. I don't know if. I feel like if you can almost treat Jokic as a point guard, and if you treat him as a point guard, then I would get another big that can help him defensively too. I don't know. That's just my thought. I don't know if that would work, but um
I mean, we
I
don't
think
see a
that's
lot of
interesting.
point centers. Like that's what Jokic is. He's
Well,
a point
yeah,
center.
he's the first pretty much ever. So
Like, I mean, you've seen passing bit like people like Vlade Divac
right,
and
but they were
Bill Walton,
Shaq.
but
Shaq actually talked about that. It's different type of passing. They were passing out of the post, and they were great post passers. Um, Jokic, the way he's passing is like a point guard. So yeah,
well, yeah,
it's
and I don't know if those guys brought the ball up the floor.
no,
Like, there's literal times where they inbound it to Nikola and he gets you into the
yeah,
offense.
that's the majority of the
So,
time. Yeah, no, he's a true
um,
point center, which he's the first of his kind. So like, that's why I think you have to that all big line. I wouldn't mind. I really am curious to see if they got another center and could like another really good center.
what about a guy like Miles Turner?
Yeah, like a mouth. The
No,
only
he's under contract though
yeah,
for another 2 years.
like that's what I'm saying. Like if you put Jokic at the power forward and then just essentially put him at make him the point guard essentially, and then
Mhm.
you have, it's a really big lineup. So you got Jokic, say a Miles Turner, Andre Drummond, whoever, but a defensive center like that. The problem is they can't shoot. So that's the only
Miles
issue.
Turner can stretch the floor a little bit. I just don't know if Indiana would be willing to part with Miles Turner given
Yeah.
it depends on where they're going, but I just don't know if they'd be willing to part ways with him
Right.
because they're looking like they're on a good track. But no, it's the Nuggets are going to have a lot of and we're looking way ahead. But I mean they're past this season. There's going to have to be wholesale change, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of how this team is built, and a lot of it is going to depend on what Jamal does in the months leading up to the playoffs and how they perform in the playoffs. At this point, I think it's just let's just get in the playoffs. Let's get in how we can, and then we'll worry about it from there. Because I can guarantee you, come playoff time, nobody's going to want to see the Nuggets
No.
because they know what this team is capable of. They know what Nikola's capable of. They know what Jamal Murray is capable of. And if MPJ continues down the path that he's going, even at listen, he's averaging, what is it, 19 and a half? And the majority of that is just being like a scraps guy. Like, get dunks, shoot a contested three, stand on the side. Like he's averaging 19 just doing that stuff, not like with a role. Like we saw him with a starring role when Jamal is out, and what did he do? He put up 30 on you. So now, granted, now you mentioned it, he's given up a lot too on the other end, so that's going to have to be fixed, and we'll see how that improves or doesn't as we get towards the playoffs. But it's going to be an interesting year. I don't think we're both on the same page. Nobody should panic yet, but there's definitely concerns and things to be aware of and acknowledge. And I think we just still need to give it some time. That's why I think 15, 20 games, when you get everybody at least somewhat healthy, that point, guys should know what their roles are. You should know, who can do what. The chemistry should at least be somewhat there to function. So I think at that point we'll have a good feel for the team. But for another team, there's a good feel because the season's almost done. It's the Denver Broncos. It's another cap to another bad year. I get it. There was injuries. There was COVID. There was no off season.
Blah 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 blah.
Everybody else dealt with that. Okay, the Broncos are going to finish with another losing season. What is this now? Their 5th year in a row, 4th losing season, one of the two. They could possibly finish 6-10. they could finish 5-11. There's still a chance that they could. Now they would need help to get within like the 5 or 6 range, but there's still a chance that they could get to that point. They're sitting at 10, but I think it's likely that they'll be between 7 and 10 at this point, which I'll take at this point. If you're there, fine, that's good with me. I had this conversation on Twitter with a guy the other day after I tweeted out because Brandon Allen won like FedEx Air Player of the Week. And I was like, looks like we kept the wrong quarterback. And I was completely being sarcastic. Like, I hope people know that. Like, I don't think Brandon Allen is better than Drew Lock, but he's also not that much worse either. But I tweeted that, and he was like, you also thought that the Broncos were going to be a 3-win team, and the team fell apart because of injuries and COVID, and we have almost double that after losing basically everyone. Okay, well, even if you do have almost double that, even though there's only 2 more, that's still 6 wins. It's still a losing season. I was still pretty close. And the reason I said this, and we were both on this page, the reason why I said that they would be a bad football team this year was because of the circumstances, was because of the injuries, was because of the shortened offseason, was because they have a second year, really a first-year quarterback going in as the starter, playing a full season, because they have a new OC, a young offensive line, young weapons all around. Before the season, before all this went down, we both thought that this could potentially be a wild card team. You thought they could possibly be a 10-win team at their ceiling. I thought 9-win ceiling, a 9-win ceiling. 8-8 is where I was really hovering, but a wild card team, I thought. It didn't happen. Now, granted, yes, they did have injuries. That sucked. They did lose key players. Yes, of course they did. COVID was not kind to them this year. They had to play a game with a wide receiver off of practice squad at quarterback. We get it. There was adversity and all that stuff. But it's not like they didn't have talent to at least win. I mean, listen, they've already won 5 games with the talent that they have. And you could argue that they could have beaten the Chargers the last game. What other games could they have? They could have beaten the Titans week 1. You could have beaten the Steelers. I mean, there's a 3-game swing within there. So it's not like, there was a lack of talent that much. But Vic Fangio, we still saw some red flags. Drew Lock didn't really blow your socks off, despite people saying that he got better in the year. Okay, well, he still had a turnover every game. He still was among the worst when it came to completion percentage and all that stuff. So, I don't know. It's another bad year. And honestly, I remember last show, I was more positive. But now I'm just on the fence. I don't know where to go with this team. I don't know where to go because I hear both sides. Part of me still wants to say, listen,
I know where to go.
Believe who they are. Believe who they are. They're still going to be a bad football team. Just believe your gut. Believe who they are. But then I see the talent, and I'm like, you know what? They could be a 9, with everybody coming back. Fangio, looks like Shermer's going to be back. Elway's going to be back. Why can't they be a wild card team next year? Why shouldn't they be? That's just where I'm on the fence. I don't know where to go at this point.
I know exactly where to go. So you're not gonna like this.
I won't.
Okay,
or
let me.
Kool-Aid fans won't.
You won't. Well, Kool-Aid fans, no one will. So let me ask you a question. If Justin Herbert was on this team, what's their record?
I think maybe they have a couple more wins. Maybe they're sitting at 7-9, possibly 8-8.
Really, with all the talent, because here's the thing. Let's look at the games that they've lost. If they had Justin Herbert week 1, and let's just say they started Justin Herbert, okay? Week 1, do they beat the Titans? Probably. They only scored 14 points.
But we also have to take into account, though, like, how would Pat Shurmur use Justin Herbert? Like, would he use him the same way he's being used in LA? If we're just translating.
Well, I think Shurmur's offense actually is what the Chargers are doing.
Yeah, probably fits him better.
So they probably beat the Titans. Hell, they probably beat the Steelers in week 2. They probably start 2-0, right? They beat the Jets still. They beat the Patriots still. They beat the Chargers definitely. Do they beat the Falcons?
I would say so.
Okay, that's 6. Do they beat the Raiders? Because Drew
Maybe.
Lock had 4 picks that game.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, they almost put up 60 on
So
us.
so that's 7. They beat the Dolphins still.
Well, in that Raiders game too, real quick, that was what? It was like 10-7 at halftime or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So
And then Drew Lock started throwing all the picks. I don't think Justin Herbert does that. He hasn't proven to do that. So that's 8 already. The Saints, I'm not going to count the Saints one. I'm not going to say they win it either. Like, I don't know. So, like, what if the same thing happened with the quarterback issue? I don't know. So I'm just going to leave it. They probably still don't beat the Chiefs. But in that game, the defense did enough to win that game. So with Justin Herbert, do they win that game? I'm gonna leave it off, but I think they had a better chance, right? So I'm gonna leave it off. So they're 8. They beat the Panthers. They probably don't beat the Bills, and then they beat the Chargers again. That's 10 wins already. So
I just think it's hard to do that though. You don't know what could happen.
Yeah, I know, and I get it. But what is the biggest issue on this team? The quarterback play, right? Because you can make arguments to where Vic Fangio has done fine. He's not a great coach, but he's done fine, right?
He's done okay. I'd give him like a B- C+.
Okay. Obviously, he blew the Titans game, but if you have a better quarterback, he doesn't have a chance to blow that game. And there was another one at one point, but
his defenses also have blown a lot of late leads though too.
Yeah, but I also think that the offense just can't do anything, so the defense just gets tired by the end of the game, right? So, okay. The reason why I bring that up, if you fix the quarterback issue, I think this is a pretty close to a playoff team. With the talent that they have right now, the offense that they have right now, the talent, the defense is still a top half of the league. So you fix one position, which is the most important. The quarterback is more important than the head coach, the coaching staff itself. The quarterback is the most important piece. You fix that one thing, they are a playoff team. I'm not saying that they're a 13-win team. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl win team, because in order to be a Super Bowl winning team, I think you need a better head coach. But you have the offensive talent. They're young, but you have the offensive talent there, and you need to start drafting defensively, and that's the path they need to go. But you fix that one issue with the quarterback, they are right there, because you look at a lot of these games, a good quarterback wins at least 3 more, probably 4 more games. I counted
like
5
Matthew
more.
Stafford.
No. I think
Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback.
Well, fine, but I think you take your shot in this draft. I'm telling you.
Oh, so that's the part I wasn't gonna like, huh?
The only reason why you don't like it is because you think that they're gonna fire Fangio after next year.
I don't.
And
no,
you hold on. Why?
No.
Okay. Tell me why.
I do not trust John Elway to draft another quarterback. I do not want you to draft a quarterback.
He hasn't taken a quarterback in the top 10.
Fine, but I just don't trust him to take a quarterback. And
you're not okay. But hold on, real quick. You're not necessarily trusting him to take a quarterback, because you've got 3 quarterbacks in this draft class, specifically 2 that I think are as close to sure things as you can. And when it comes to taking a quarterback in the top 10 or top 15, right, is not necessarily the GM making the right decision. It's just hoping that the quarterback works out. It's not necessarily on the GM. It's usually just on the quarterback, right? Because any quarterback that's taken in the top 15, they all have the talent. They just got to put the pieces together. And then it's on the GM to put the pieces around them. So that's why, a lot of times you see a quarterback being taken in the top 15, say it doesn't work out, they move on to a different team and it works. Ryan Tannehill. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily on every quarterback, all 4, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and even Trey Lance. They all have the talent. There's a reason why everyone puts them in the top 10 in this draft class. They all have the talent. Now, can it translate to the NFL? It's a crapshoot when it comes to that. It's not necessarily trusting your GM to make that decision, right? And you also need your GM to put the talent around that quarterback. I do trust John Elway to put talent around the quarterback because he's done it. He did it with Peyton. And he I think has done it with Drew Lock. But Drew Lock isn't a good enough quarterback. And the head coaching thing, that I know that's one of your concerns, is that you can't just fire the head coach a year after and the quarterback's going to be. I'm telling, if the Denver Broncos draft Zach Wilson or just one of the three, because they won't get Trevor Lawrence, right? One of the three, and that quarterback hits, they are a playoff team next year.
Okay. Well, first and foremost,
and then Vic Fangio's job is safe. By the way,
Justin Fields' stock has been dropping. I've seen that. He hasn't been playing very well to close out the season, and a lot of people are
he's still 3 or 4.
He's still gonna be a first round pick. Yes.
Well, he's still gonna be a top 5 pick more than likely, or
I don't know.
He's still gonna be a top 10 pick. But you know who else's draft stock dropped right before the draft?
Who?
Justin Herbert.
Sure.
And Josh Allen, by the way. Josh Allen was supposed to be a top 5 pick. He got picked 7.
I'm not saying it's an indictment.
So,
I'm just saying that's where teams.
What I'm saying though is they all have the talent. That's the thing.
I agree.
They all have the talent to be that guy. When it comes to the NFL, it's how they translate, which you just don't know. Trubisky didn't necessarily translate, but now all of a sudden Trubisky's playing really well. Maybe it was just they didn't put offensive talent around him. It could have been just as simple as something like that. Ryan Tannehill didn't work out in Miami because they didn't put offensive talent around him. Now you give him Derrick Henry and the Brown kid and the receivers that they have, and look at what he's doing. So all I'm saying is that you need the talent. You just need to get the talent first. You cannot wait till you have all the pieces around and then be like, oh, okay, we're going to go get the talent. Because that's where Paxton Lynch happens. That's where Brock Osweiler happens. And you just better hope that you get lucky and you get a Russell Wilson or a Dak Prescott. And there's been, 2 of those guys in the last 10 years? Mm-hmm. So the chances, the odds of you hitting on one of those guys is less than probably 10%. The odds of you hitting one of the guys in the top 15, that's way over 50%. You're seeing in the last 3 years. There's been one guy that hasn't worked, or no, 2. There's been 2 in the top 15 that hasn't worked. Trubisky, but Trubisky's all of a sudden looking good because now they're putting offensive talent around him. And kid in Washington that just got cut.
Haskins,
he just sucks. So, but to be fair, you never know. It could be a Tannehill situation. He goes somewhere else and he succeeds. I doubt it, but I think that was just a bad pick in general. But he was also pick number 15. I'm saying you take one of these guys in the top 10, even top 5. If you lose, you have a chance to have a top 7 pick, right? You're going to be in the running for either Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance, and they all have the talent. You have talent around them already in Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, if he can catch the ball. Even Melvin Gordon has looked really good these last few games. So you have, and the offensive line has been fantastic. So you have the offensive talent. Your defense is top half in the league. You're there. You are right there. And this is a good quarterback class. Next year, I looked at it. I don't know. 2 years from now, yeah, it looks good. But this is your window. You have a window. And when you have a chance at one of these quarterbacks, you need to take the shot. And here, I'll say this. If it doesn't work, well, it's not going to work with Drew Lock, right? So if it doesn't work, you're resetting anyways. In 2 years, you're resetting anyways. If it doesn't work. whether if it doesn't work or you keep Drew Lock, you're resetting in 2 years anyways.
Mhm.
And you're probably taking another quarterback in 3-4 years anyways.
Right.
So you might as well take the shot now. Give your head coach a chance to have at least a talented quarterback and see what you can do. Because the Denver Broncos haven't had a talented quarterback, a top 10 talented quarterback, since Peyton Manning. So
I hear what you're saying.
let's see. Let's see what you can do with a top 10 talented quarterback. Drew Lock dropped to the second round for a reason. Take a top 10 quarterback. Take the shot. If it doesn't work out, you're resetting anyways.
I hear what you're saying, and you make really good points, but I just think you're wrong.
Oh,
I think you're crazy. I just think you're crazy. And here's why. Here's why I wouldn't do it, and here's why I think they won't do it. I wouldn't do it, and I've said it multiple times. And this is still the negative part in me about this team, I don't believe they're going to turn it around, and I just do not see the point. If it's not Trevor Lawrence, okay, if it's anybody but Trevor Lawrence,
I'm telling you,
I don't see the point in taking a quarterback.
Look,
they're your GM,
you like Trevor Lawrence because everyone says he's a consistent number one. He's been that, and
I like him because he's a safe pick. Yes, of course I do. Yes.
But
he has talent. I've seen him play.
The talent is there, but I'm telling you, I think Zach Wilson is better.
Okay, well, and we'll see. We'll have the next 3 to 4, hopefully, years to figure that out. But I just don't. With your GM, your coach, going into the final years of their contracts, respectively, and the past few years have not been great. I just don't.
But why hasn't it been great?
Well, for a multitude of reasons.
If Vance Joseph has a talented quarterback, do you think it's maybe a little bit different?
Well, which is why I don't think it was all on VJ. I just think it was bad offensive
So that
play,
makes my point. You have a shot here. You have a shot. You need to take it. Because
if it doesn't work out,
if it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter because it's not going to work out with Drew Lock.
But then it's a wasted pick. It's a wasted pick because there's a chance that you bring in a coach and a regime that didn't like that guy at all. What if they hated the guy that they take in the draft? What if they're like, this guy, we knew he couldn't do it.
Well, here,
I didn't like this guy in the draft. Then it's a wasted pick.
If a new regime comes in, that means the quarterback didn't work out.
Sure, right.
So either way, you're resetting no matter what. So it doesn't matter. If you hit, then Vic Fangio is the head coach for the next 3-4 years until he gets fired because they can't get over the hump with the great quarterback. And if he doesn't work out, then you're resetting anyways because you're gonna reset because Drew Lock sucks anyways. So what I'm saying is if he doesn't work out, you're gonna reset no matter what. If he does work out, then you got Vic Fangio for the next 3 years, 3-4 years, however long his contract is, and off you go.
I get what you're saying.
And Elway could always just resign, and you could go for it. I think you need to. I think you look at all these teams that just took their shot and they got their talent, right? The Bills, the Chargers, Kansas City, Houston. They were all in the position to take their shot.
But they were also all fairly new regimes too.
I mean, we're just ending.
And they weren't going into the last year of their deals with the respective head coach and GM either.
Well, Vic Fangio signed a 5-year deal, and then
did he?
I believe it was 5. Oh, well, if it's 3, then look, I think you need to take your shot. And by the way, who's to say that a new regime is going to let Elway go?
Oh well, I think he'll if they don't perform up to standard, I think he will be gone. I think he would be gone.
So, but what I'm saying,
you're bringing a new GM, like you need to start fresh.
Right.
You can't just keep him here.
What I'm saying though is, if you draft one of these quarterbacks and they work out and you make the playoffs next year, it's not. They're not.
Then they're not going to be gone.
But that's what I'm saying. You need to take when you're in a position to take a talented quarterback. And you need a talented quarterback, you have to take that. There's a reason why they keep failing year after year. Look, if they take Josh Allen instead of Bradley Chubb, they're in a completely different place. They didn't take their shot. There was a
Maybe.
talented quarterback on the board. They didn't take their shot, and look where they're at. If
Sure.
if
I
you
mean, but
have
there was no
if you're
guarantee
in
that Josh Allen would have worked here either, though.
well, no, there's
So,
no guarantee that any of them work out.
right, right.
But
I
the
just
difference is that Buffalo has put talent around Josh Allen, right? They went out and got Diggs. They have talented receivers. They got a good offensive line, right? They did the work to help him, and it's worked out. The Broncos already have they've done it. They've done it and gone out and got the talent for Drew Lock, and he still sucks.
I just we know why I don't like it. I just don't. I personally, it's just me. I just think it's pointless if your head coach and your GM are going to the last years of their deal to get a quarterback, and it's most likely not going to work out. I get what you're saying though, but here's why I don't think they will do it is because of that exact reason. They're going into their last year of their contract. They're going into the
No,
last
but see,
year
I think the opposite. I think
their deals.
that gives them every reason to take the shot because if
why
because
would they bank on risking their last year on a rookie quarterback when you could
you're
go
gonna
out
risk
and
it on
get a
Drew
Matt
Lock?
Stafford? Well, no, either that.
Who's to
or-
say Matthew
'cause-
Stafford is
'cause-
available?
Well, because you're banking on consistency, right? Because you're bringing everybody back. So you're bringing Sherman back. So you're hoping, and they're saying all the right things about Locke, that they think he can take that next step. And you're hoping that, oh, it was just the injuries and oh, it was just COVID and we were screwed and we have everything we need in place, right? I mean, you've said they're talented. They are talented.
It's pretty obvious that Drew Lock isn't though.
I mean, not to them though. At least from what
I don't necessarily believe that because I at least I don't know if you have, but I've seen things on Twitter and some reports. They're gonna look everywhere. They're gonna look at the draft.
I've seen that, yeah.
They're gonna look at free agents. They're gonna look everywhere.
They're gonna draft unless they somehow get in the top 5. And
That's what I'm saying.
I
I
guess if
think
it's
you need.
Justin Fields.
I'm saying you need to. If you lose, I'm not saying if they win and then they have like 14, 15. I'm not saying to do it then. I'm saying if they lose and they have a top 7 pick. So I'm saying top 7, and one because I'm looking at the mock draft right now. So Jacksonville and the Jets they're 1 and 2. A lot of mock drafts now have Zach Wilson at 2. There's also reports out of New York that they want to keep Sam Darnold and just change the head coach, and because Sam Darnold does have the talent. So like, and you see it every game and whatever. He's showed the talent. So there's rumors out there that they actually want to keep Sam Darnold. That's a trade possibility, or they just take someone else. They take an offensive lineman, whatever. Miami's not going to take a quarterback. Atlanta will probably not take quarterback because Matt Ryan's played really well this year. Obviously, Cincinnati's not going to take quarterback. Philly's not going to take quarterback now because of Jalen Hurts has been awesome. Detroit, they could take a quarterback if they are willing to get rid of Stafford. That's up in the air. The Giants aren't going to take quarterback at this point. Carolina might, but Carolina's at 9. If you lose, you would need. I think you need Carolina. Well, yeah, you would need Carolina to win, right? Who does Carolina play?
I have no idea. That whole situation for them to get up in the top 5 is so complicated.
It's really complicated.
And highly unlikely too.
Well, if they lose, I think they can get to. They're at 10. I think if they lose, they can
the
get
Broncos
to 7.
have to lose.
Yeah,
they have to lose, and then they need help. They need like Atlanta to beat like New Orleans and Cincinnati to beat whoever they're playing. Like they need like these other sucky teams to like beat really good teams, and which could happen because a lot of these teams are resting, and we'll get to that when we make our picks. But at the end of the day, I just don't think John, despite what we've seen, unless they somehow sneak in the top 5 and somehow
I would say they need to get top
Wilson
7
drops or something. I just don't think they're willing to bank their final years on a rookie quarterback. I think when we know John's history, I think he would much rather find a proven veteran quarterback to not only give Locke competition, but to possibly take his job, or I think they're really actually banking on Drew Lock taking a step. I really do think
Yeah,
they
I'm
do
not
that.
the only. I'm just not sure if Stafford is available. Um, so I don't know. But someone brought up Stafford's numbers and compared to Drew Lock, and they're essentially the same
Well,
the past 16 games. So
okay, but I mean, Matt Stafford's also playing on an awful team. Plus, he's missed some games too. I think this year.
sure, but
But
I just don't think
there's no
I just
there's
don't
no
think
comp between those two.
I wouldn't. But I wouldn't go out and trade for because you're gonna have to trade for Stafford. I just
Right.
don't think that you are. I don't think that's worth it for someone like Stafford.
I just think he's way better though. I mean, you'd be in a way
I
better
don't think
position.
I don't think he's way better than Drew Lock.
If stop.
I don't
If
not
Matt Stafford
way
was on
better.
this team this year, they would be a playoff team.
I think they have 2 more wins.
They'd be a playoff team. They'd be a
No.
playoff team if this team is fully. Oh my!
I think
You're
there's
telling
I think there's
Matt
seven.
Stafford's not better than he's not way better than Drew Lock.
No,
Oh,
not way better. He's better, but he's not way better.
way better.
He's not
Beyond.
he's not play no, he's not playoff better. No.
Oh my gosh.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I'm not taking any quarterback advice from you. This is the guy that wanted to trade Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. So you don't count. Your opinion holds no weight here. So that just
That's
goes in there.
that's completely taken out of no. Stop it.
That's what you said. You said I would like to trade Patrick Mahomes and I would like to trade Russell Wilson.
No,
That's exactly what you said.
that's
That was
not what I
verbatim,
said.
word for word.
No,
what you said.
that is not what I said.
That's pretty much
No.
how everybody will remember it. Is I would like to trade Patrick Mahomes for some kid who is unproven. I would like to trade Hall of Famers for rookie quarterbacks. That's what I would like to do. Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense.
That's not what I
Matt
said.
Stafford is way better than Drew Lock.
No,
Everybody
he's not.
knows this.
No, he's not.
Unbelievable. I just don't know where to go with this team. I get what you're saying. I just don't. But this is where they put me and fans like this. You've put me in a position to not trust you, John. Like you've put me in a position to not trust you drafting a quarterback. They have talent. And like that's the thing. We said that they were gonna suck this year not because of it was a void of talent or a lack of talent. It's because of everything else. And they still had talent. You could argue they could be have 3 more wins. And what does that come down to? It comes down to the quarterback not making enough plays. It comes down to rookies dropping the ball. It comes down to Vic Fangio not making great in-game decisions. His defense giving up late leads. And what does that tell you? It tells you that outside of the injuries, outside of COVID, they're a bad football team. That's what it tells you. It doesn't mean just because you have talent doesn't mean you're a good football team. It means you can be a good football team, but it doesn't mean you are one. You still have to put it all together. The game's not played on paper. It's played on the field. And we've seen when the Broncos get out on the field, they can't put it all together for whatever reason. And that's just where this organization is at this time. And we're coming into this final week, and I think we're both in agreement here. The best thing for the Denver Broncos to do is lose. I don't want to hear, and there's a lot of fans out there, no, I'd rather beat the Raiders than lose.
I mean, no, we're not
that's
saying
stupid.
we're not saying that we want them to tank.
I am.
Well, they're not going to do that.
I've been saying that.
Well,
no,
they're not
going to.
They're not going to do
But
that.
I would like them to do that.
But we are. I am. Yes, I am rooting for them to lose. I've been rooting for them to lose the last 3 years.
It's just what they need to do. What does a meaningless win in Week 17 between two teams that are out of the playoffs do for anybody? Oh, it carries over to the next year. Really? Months later in advance, you think the Broncos are like, hey, that Week 17 Raiders win, that's going to catapult us to a win this week in Week 1 against the Chiefs. No, it's not. It's not going to mean anything. Does it feel good for your pride that you leave on a win? Yes, awesome. We got a win. Cool. It's something we can build off of. But it's not something that changes a culture automatically. It's not something that catapults you into the next year. That's just false. That's just lip service. It's not. It doesn't work like that. So the best thing for them to do is lose. Okay, no one cares about this Raider. I mean, listen, we care. Obviously, I want to beat the Raiders. Only diehard fans are like this. Okay, I'm a fan, but I'm not a diehard because I've worked in the media, so I've learned how to be objective and distance myself from the team a little bit. You have to do that. I get it. You don't want the Raiders to win. Anytime the Raiders, the Chiefs, or the Chargers win, that sucks. But if it means bettering our future and winning more games in the future instead of winning a game now, then I'll take the future instead of now. So that's just me. This game is pointless. It means nothing. It would be different if this was a game like a play-in game and it's a win and you get in the playoffs. Then okay, obviously you'd want to win. But this game holds no weight if you win. It means nothing if you win. You still finish with a losing season. You still finish as a terrible team. You're still going to finish somewhere in the top 10 in the draft. So what does that actually do for you? No one's going to remember week 17 versus the Raiders in 2020. It's just not going to happen. Best thing for them to do is lose. We're both on that train. It just they just stress me out. They make me angry. I just don't know what to say anymore about this team. And I just don't know if it's ever going to change. And we could draft a quarterback and it could change optimism, but
look, the thing is, this team hasn't had, other than Peyton, this team hasn't had a really super talented quarterback. I mean, I guess you could say Jay was. He just didn't have like the mentality. Like he was kind of a mess.
Just the intangibles weren't there.
Yeah. But the Broncos haven't had that type of guy in 20 years, 20 plus years. And
I mean, they've only had 2 of those guys in their franchise's history.
And you have to take the shot when you can. When you are in, because it's not very odd. Like, think about it. The Broncos in their history have only been in this position twice before. Twice. In what, 60 years? And they had it, and they passed up on it the second time. And you lost out on Josh Allen. You have to take the shot when you can. And if they are in position to take that shot with one of the 4, Trey Lance, look, I've said it before where I would stay away from Trey Lance because the only reason why I had said that though, because I hadn't watched Trey Lance. I don't know anything about Trey Lance. But there's a reason why people are putting him in the top 10 in every mock draft. There's a reason why. And Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, they all went 10 and 12, 10 and 14?
I think Mahomes was 17.
So no, he wasn't 17, was he?
Or he was somewhere in the teens.
I thought Kansas City traded up. Either way, you can be the 4th best quarterback in a draft class, rated wise, and be the best quarterback in that draft class, as long as you're taken in that top 15. I would say, that top 10, top 15. So when you have a shot, you need to take it. If it doesn't work out, fine. But I would rather take that shot and have it not work out than not take the shot and then have another quarterback have a lot of success elsewhere and be Super Bowl contenders 2 years later. Because that's killing me. That's killing me. Every year I look at it and I see another team with a quarterback and they're going to be Super Bowl contenders in the next 3 years. Josh Allen and the Bills are already there. It's brutal. It's brutal to watch.
Yep.
So
You
need to. I would rather take the shot and miss out. I would rather be the Chicago Bears right now than the Denver Broncos. Because I'm telling you, I would rather
possibly make the playoffs.
I would rather take that shot and fail than not take it and see all these other teams have all of the success. Now, obviously, it sucks for Chicago because they missed out on Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, but at least they had the balls to do it.
Fair. That's fair. I just think you're wrong, but that's fair.
Oh, God. You're wrong.
Before we close the show today, we got to get to our picks. This is final season. of the final regular season. Oh, there we go. We got a puppy appearance. There's been a lot of appearances on the show today. My mom came in for like a hot 10 seconds. You've got your dog. Aaron's in the background.
The other one is
Pivots as well there as
you can
well.
see his tail.
I mean, everybody's just joining the podcast today. This is our final regular season week
I'm gonna
of
make my picks.
2020.
I'm gonna make my picks with my puppy.
The
She's gonna
current
give me good
that's
luck.
fine. Maybe you'll get some luck this week because you're still down 14.
down
160 to 146 is the tally
You're
right now
cheating.
as we're heading into this
I
final
should have
week.
kept tally. I think you're cheating.
I'm not. We have a spreadsheet. What do you mean?
Yeah, but you know
if
I
you
don't.
want to, you
You-
can go back and listen to each episode.
You know I don't look at the spreadsheet. I think
Well,
you're cheating.
Listen, this would be much closer if you would have sent in your picks half of the year.
That's true.
I mean, that'd be part. The only person you really have to blame is probably you, because you're legitimately you have missed. Let's see, just because you didn't send in picks, I'm curious now. You missed 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, is that it? 4 games is what you missed by not sending in picks. So,
Yeah, well.
I mean, maybe if those go your way, that's 10 games out, but you're still losing. I've been just shooting hot this year on picks. I'm tied for first in my work
you're
league.
cheating.
First in this.
You're
I'm not
changing your
cheating.
picks as the games go.
What?
And then
I can't do that.
and then
That is
you're
not a thing.
you're just making it seem realistic.
Oh my gosh. Anyways,
Yeah. See,
last
oh,
let's pick a week here. And in the regular season, we'll continue through the playoffs, but I mean, you really need some help this week. So, you got to get cut in
you know
5
what?
to
I'm
7
either gonna
games.
lose by 20 or I'm gonna cut this thing to single digits.
Are you gonna play it ultra risky this week?
Yep.
That's probably all you can do. All right, well, let's start it off here. Miami versus Buffalo. We learned that I believe Josh Allen is. Okay. So yeah, Sean McDermott is not committing either way just yet.
By the way, I hate that. What do you think about resting your quarterback? I'm okay with resting other players, but I would rest your. Or I would play your quarterback.
I get it. I heard someone suggest play him for a half or so.
Yeah.
But I mean, in just the off chance, that he gets hurt.
I know, but more oftentimes than not, you rest, and then the next week you lose because you're
Sure.
just out of sync.
I mean,
look
I
at
get it
Baltimore
both
last year.
ways.
Baltimore did it, and they
I
had
get it
2
both
weeks
ways.
off because they had a bye
Yeah.
week. So
Well, they also have a quarterback that can't throw when it
Oh.
counts most. So that hurts too. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the Bills haven't announced it yet. We know that Tua's going to start because Ryan Fitzpatrick is out with COVID. So this one, I'm going to go Buffalo here, even if Josh Allen doesn't play.
You know what? I think they rest Josh Allen. I'm gonna take Miami.
Okay.
Miami. Here's the thing. Miami needs to win.
They do.
They need to win to make the playoffs. So I'm gonna pick Miami.
All right. Green Bay versus Chicago. I think this is a play-in game for Chicago. They have to win this to get into the playoffs. I don't think Green Bay. So Green Bay is still playing for something, a first-round bye in home field. So I think Rodgers will play. I just think Green Bay is better. I'm just gonna go Green Bay.
Yeah, I'll take Green Bay too.
Baltimore versus Cincinnati. I don't know if anything has been released on the Ravens, if they're going to rest players or not. Does Baltimore have anything to really play for? They've already locked up a playoff spot, right? Or they're still in the hunt, technically, I think. Can I get a playoff picture here? Playoff machine. Okay, so we got... Okay, so Baltimore is the 6th seed. So, I mean, I guess if they lost, they would be the 7th seed. I'm going to go Baltimore here.
I think Baltimore needs to win.
Yeah, I don't think they can just rest guys.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take Baltimore. I think they need to. I need to pull up the Oh, do you have? They have an NFL playoff machine. Okay.
Okay, next one is Pittsburgh versus Detroit. I think the Steelers are going to be resting guys, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ben's not playing in this one. Uh, so yeah, Ben Roethlisberger, Pouncey, T.J. Watt, and Cam Howard, or Hayward, excuse me. Cleveland hasn't beaten the Steelers in a while. I think if they lose, they're out, so they have to win this game. I'm gonna go the Browns here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the Browns as well. They haven't made the playoffs in what, 17 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna win this thing. They got all their receivers back. By the way, they got screwed. I mean, without receivers, you should still be able to beat the Jets, but they got screwed last week.
Well, that's on them. Plus, anytime Baker has to throw it 50 plus times.
How
not
how
gonna do
Cleveland is
40
that though? If they were 10-4 at one point,
Yeah.
and to miss the playoffs at 10-6, that is the
That would be
most
rough.
Cleveland thing. And to lose the last game of the season to a team who's not playing their starting quarterback.
To the lowly Jets.
Oh, and then you lose. Yeah, you're the Jets' second win. That's brutal.
Well, yeah. Okay, the next one, Minnesota, Detroit. Part of me is just really glad that this is the last week that Minnesota will be involved in anything competitive. Because every year, I swear these guys, I just don't like them.
Who you picking?
No, there's nothing to play for either of these teams, so it's not like they can just rest guys.
I'll pick the opposite of you.
This is, what's the line on this? It's
Minnesota is favored by a touchdown?
Really?
Wow.
Oh, is Stafford hurt or something?
Oh,
Let's see.
well, no surprise there.
That's okay. Didn't have to. That was a low blow. We didn't have to go there.
Galladay isn't playing because he wants to be healthy for free agency.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he like come out and say that?
Apparently.
How? Let's see. Their senator. Goodness, their center was limited. Okay, Matt Stafford was limited. What does Minnesota's injury report look like?
Apparently, the Lions could somehow get the 3rd overall pick.
Oh, Dalvin Cook is not playing this week. Oof. Don't like that. Offensive tackle is on IR.
I dare you to take the Lions. Dare you.
Kyle Rudolph is on IR. Did Minnesota win last week? Or did they lose? Who did they play last week? Did they play last week? Oh, they lost to New Orleans. I'm gonna go Detroit. I'll let you deal with that. I'll let you have the fun of relying on Kirk Cousins to pull you out.
Taking Minnesota.
Ugh. I swear if they win. All right. You have Minnesota. The next one is Jacksonville, Indy. Indy is not in the playoffs currently, so they need to win. I think
I'll
they're
take
still
Indy.
one of those teams in the hunt.
Well, there's like 5 teams at 10-5. So
yeah, so they're the in the hunt team.
yeah, so Cleveland, Baltimore, Miami, Tennessee, and Indy.
So they need to win this game.
There's like 5 teams at 10-5. I don't know how many teams I just counted because I messed up my counting.
You sure you don't want to take Jacksonville?
No, I'll take Indy.
Kansas City versus the Chargers. There's going to be no Patrick Mahomes this game.
Who's their backup?
Chad Henne. Looks like he's going to start.
What about like Kelsey and...
I did see that they were on the injury report. I mean, I can't imagine they'll play, right? Like, why would you... Tyreek Hill did not practice. He's questionable with a hamstring. I would assume he probably won't play. Goodness gracious, words are hard. I don't see Travis Kelsey anywhere on the injury report. I'm going to go the Chargers here. I think Anthony Lynn... I don't know. Because if Tyreek and Kelsey play, then I would go the Chiefs. But if they don't play, then I would go the Chargers. I'm gonna go the Chargers, but if those guys play, I'm changing my pick. I'm gonna go the Chargers here. I think Anthony Lynn needs a win to at least somewhat try and keep his hopes alive of staying there. I think it would be a good note for them to finish on. I think the Chargers win if, of course, Tyreek and Kelsey don't play.
Man, I want to go opposite of you, just to go opposite, but I'm gonna pick the Chargers.
All right,
I was
New
hoping you would pick
York
the Chiefs.
Jets versus the Patriots here. The Jets have been hot. 2 games here.
Well, that's why some people are talking about they might keep Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean
They lost out on Trevor Lawrence, so they might just be like, screw it, we're gonna keep Sam Darnold.
They're gonna regret that so much. I'm
Mhm.
gonna go the Jets here.
Zach Wilson.
I think the Patriots are just out of it.
Wow, you're picking the Jets.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'll take the Patriots. I'll go
Alright, you
opposite
got
on you. That's a toss up.
Patriots. It is. But just with Cam Newton playing, how he's been playing, I don't even know if he's gonna start this week. Dallas versus the Giants. I know Daniel Jones kind of has a bum hamstring, and I think Dallas needs this game to have a chance at the playoffs.
Could you imagine if Dallas made the playoffs in that division?
Yeah. Well, it's either them or Washington at 6-9, or possibly 7-9 if they win. I'm gonna go Dallas here. I think they need this win.
Yeah, I'll take Dallas. Yeah, I'll take Dallas. A lot of people are talking about Andy Dalton's gonna be a starter next year somewhere.
I mean, he might have earned himself a job.
Yeah,
It might be a
someone's gonna
Tannehill situation.
Yeah,
So, Washington, Philadelphia. This is a weird one.
I'll take Philly.
Really? No consideration. I just don't know what Washington's doing at quarterback. I think that Heineke guy is going to play. Washington's defense has been really good this year.
I really like Jalen Hurts.
What's the line on this? Let's see. Washington -3.
Because Alex Smith. Well, wait. Will Alex Smith play?
I don't know if Alex Smith is going to play. I think he's kind of iffy. Because if Alex Smith plays, then I think I would lean Washington. But yeah, he was limited with a calf.
Ooh, Terry McLaurin didn't practice Friday.
Yeah, I think he's gonna miss this game.
I'm gonna take Philly.
Yeah. I just don't know if I can trust the Heineke kid or Hinnick, whatever his name is. I'm gonna go Philly as well here. Atlanta versus Tampa. This game was close a few weeks ago. I think Tampa's gonna rest some players, maybe. I mean, because they've locked up
Have they locked up?
They're the 5th seed. So I mean, if they lose, they won't get booted. But
well,
are they resting any players?
Who? Oh yeah, they can't miss the playoffs.
Yeah. Arian said we're going to play to win. We're going to practice and pretend like everything depends on it. So in that case, I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
I'll take Tampa Bay too.
New Orleans versus Carolina. The Saints have not announced if they're resting anybody, but they're still in play for a possible 1 seed. Obviously, if Green Bay loses and they win, I think that shakes things up a little bit. Carolina, I don't think C-Mac is going to play. He's just out for the rest of the year, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, obviously he hasn't played, but I think I'm going to go New Orleans here.
Yeah, I'll go New Orleans.
Okay. Then we have Tennessee versus Houston. Tennessee is at the 4th seed right now. Doesn't look like they've announced anybody in terms of players not playing. Houston's just a really bad football team. 4-11. I'm gonna go Tennessee.
It's Tennessee. I guess Tennessee does need a win. So yeah, I'll take Tennessee.
Then we got the Raiders and Denver. Ugh. This would be the game the Broncos win. They're going to be motivated too.
I'm taking the Raiders.
just not. The Raiders are kind of reeling. Are the Broncos going to have any answer for Darren Waller?
No.
I think I'm going to go Raiders as well. Arizona versus the Rams here.
So this one's interesting. So
Both quarterbacks are hurt.
even if Chicago loses, wow. So this gets weird. So Chicago, the Rams, and the Cardinals, they are all like they all three like only two of the three are gonna make it. If the Rams win, they're in. If Arizona wins, they need Chicago to lose.
Okay.
If Chicago wins and Arizona wins, Chicago still makes it and Arizona's out. If the Cardinals and Chicago wins, then the Rams are out. It's super complicated.
Yeah. I definitely have the monkey clapping
So
things in my head going on as you're explaining that.
if Arizona loses, they're done.
Okay.
So
they need to win.
They need to win.
So I'm going to go Arizona.
If the Rams lose, though, and the Bears... If the Rams lose and the Bears win, then the Rams are out.
That's super complicated. I just know that Jared Goff isn't playing and Arizona needs to win. So I'm going to go Arizona.
I'm going to go Arizona, too. That's interesting.
And then lastly, we have Seattle versus San Francisco. San Fran obviously has nothing to play for. I don't know if the Seahawks are resting anybody, but I don't think they're necessarily just comfortable. I'll have the third seed, so I guess.
Well, Seattle is still fighting for the 1 seed.
Yeah,
so
I guess technically.
If New Orleans, for whatever reason, loses, then they can get the 1 seed. Green Bay can't get the 1 seed. Or no, Green Bay can if
Green Bay is the 1 seed.
Well, yeah, so Green Bay can get it if both New Orleans and San Fran wins. But if New Orleans wins... Oh, no, Green Bay would still get it. So Green Bay doesn't own the tiebreaker over Seattle.
Plus, I think Seattle, if they win, they'd much rather face the Bears than a division opponent.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Seattle here.
I'm going to go Seattle, too.
All right. So we differ on Miami, Buffalo, Minnesota, Detroit, New England, and the Jets. And that's it.
We differ on 3. So. Oh, I can't cut it to 10?
No, I mean, unless you switch one. Take Jacksonville. I have a real good feeling on them.
We both picked the Chargers, huh?
We did.
Go
with the Broncos. That's probably your best bet right there.
I think it is. We both went... Oh, wait. No, I picked Philly. You picked Washington, right?
I picked Philly. Because I don't... If Alex Smith isn't going to play, then I don't trust the Heineke guy.
You know, I'll take Washington.
All right. So you could possibly cut it to 10. If all stands, and then after that point, it's 6 games there. And then, 4 or 3 games after that. So it could come down to the wire. But you need to go, like, perfect in these next, 4 or 5 weeks to overtake me.
I mean, hey, you can blow leads.
I'm not... Listen, when Crumble is on the line, there's no choking here. I will tighten that baby up like Tiki Barber when he relearned how to carry the football. How big of a
box are we talking? Are we talking the biggest box or what?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We're talking party box here.
Okay.
We don't do small boxes here. Or we could just... You know what? We could just do a gift card. How about that? Just like a $10 gift card.
Oh, yeah. We can just do a $10.
Because that way, if you don't... You know, if you buy the person for the cookies that week and they don't really like those cookies...
Yeah, I was going to say... I was like that... the next question I was gonna be like, well, are you gonna wait for a certain week or?
Right. So we'll just do, because now you can do digital gift cards. You can just send it to people now.
Oh,
so
okay, that might be easier.
We can just do that. So we usually do like a
we
$10 gift card. Whoever wins gets a $10 gift card.
Okay. All right, we'll just do that.
All right.
That
works.
Because
Well,
I don't want to have to drive all the way down. Well, if I do drive all the way down there, I can get LNL. So
yeah.
But $10 gift card works. All right.
But then I wouldn't have to want to drive all the way up there. Knowing the fact that I'm losing. Well, I guess you wouldn't have to drive. Because you're sending a gift card anyway.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So the gift card is easier.
Yeah, never mind. All right. Well, never mind. Forget completely everything I just said. I haven't eaten this morning, so I'm running on fumes. And it's already noon. I said morning. It's already noon. So I smell someone's making something in this house, and it smells delicious. So my attention's already been lost. That's going to do it for us today. A 2-hour pod for you guys. We ranted on the Nuggets for an hour, and Brandon was wrong for an hour about the Broncos and what they should do in the draft. So
are you gonna be upset when they pass up on a Zach Wilson or a Trey Lance, and then they go on to be really good quarterbacks and make the playoffs in 2 years?
Well,
and then
ask me that in 2 years.
Meanwhile, Denver is we're praying that Denver loses so we can get another top 5 pick. You're willing to go through that again. You're willing to go through that again.
I wanted them to lose so we wouldn't have to be in this issue. So we could just have Trevor Lawrence.
But see, Trevor, I'm telling you, Zach Wilson is. I think Zach Wilson is. I will say it. Zach Wilson is better than Trevor Lawrence. I will say it right now. Zach Wilson will have a better career than Trevor Lawrence. I guarantee it.
All right, well, let's bet a Crumble gift card or box on that for next year. Whoever has the better rookie year.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying because I don't know which team they're going to go to, so it depends on the rookie year. I'm saying Zach Wilson will have a better career than Trevor Lawrence.
Well, in 20 years, when that debate can finally be settled, you owe me a Crumble digital cookie. All right, a hologram.
Zach Wilson is the best quarterback in the draft class.
I think it's just recency bias. I think he's just the hot flavor of the month. I'm not saying that he can't be good. I mean, he looks good. I mean, every clip I see of him on Twitter with people breaking him down, he makes some insane throws.
Like it's not just that. Trevor Lawrence has made some questionable throws.
He's just bored.
Mm-hmm.
He's just ready to go to the pros and make millions of dollars now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
With that talented of a team.
Maybe, how about this? Reverse psychology. Maybe he's like, if I play worse, I go further down in the draft to a better team. You ever think of that? Smart. That's what we call IQ. His IQ's higher than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's like, I'm just going to play the best so I can go to the Jets or the Jags. Trevor's like, joke's on you. I'm going to go to the Broncos and then win 15 Super Bowls. Suck it, Patrick Mahomes.
Zach Wilson, 33 touchdowns and 3 picks this year.
Really good.
Completion percentage is 73.5.
That's really good. How much of that though? Like, I'd be curious to see what his passing chart is. Like, does he throw a lot of short passes?
Oh, it's everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's everywhere. The game I watched, it was everywhere. He's really good. I mean, I get because he goes to BYU, and that's the only reason people are hesitant. But man, I mean. That's why Trey Lance. I think that's why Trey Lance is a bit lower than everyone else too. But I'm really bummed that Justin Fields had 2 back-to-back really bad games because I think Zach Wilson's gonna go too.
Well, yes, but maybe that means that Justin Fields is within range for the Broncos.
That just proves that I was right on Zach Wilson 2 months ago.
Yeah. Well, the only reason you found him is because you were probably betting on his game. So
yeah, and he screwed me, and I'm like, who is this kid? and then I'm like, all right. So then I kept watching his games, and I'm okay. He's really good.
Yeah, that's how Ben.
He made it up to me. After that first game.
Yeah. The only reason Brandon is a draft analyst is because he bets on the game, so he just happens to stumble upon people.
Hey,
like
it's the only reason why the college games are worth watching.
That's fair. I can't do college when the scores are so lopsided. I just think it's pointless. But that's gonna do it for us today. We thank you guys for tuning in, kicking off a new year. Hopefully, it's a great year for you guys, a great year for the pod.
Thank God 2020 is over.
Yeah, and now we're Now we're waiting to see what 2021 has in store.
Yeah, I saw someone say that 2020 was the I just unplugged my headphones. I saw someone say that 2020 was just the epilogue of the 2020s, or not?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I saw
It's just chapter
I
one,
saw
and it's a 10-chapter book. I'm like, great, guys. Thanks for that. Thanks for ruining my year already.
I thought it was really funny on Twitter. Somebody photoshopped 2021 onto Michael Jordan's head, and the caption was, I took that personally. And the tweet was 2021 saying that 2020 has been the worst year, or is going to be the worst year ever. 2021 is like, I took that personally.
Yeah.
So
well, hey,
yeah,
we'll find out within the first month, because obviously last year, sadly, we found out within the first month. So
yeah, and it went all downhill after that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still waiting for my stimulus check.
I can't believe that was a year ago. I am too, by the way. I saw something. If you're a dependent, you don't get it. What's the deal with that? Or if you weren't under like the 20, I don't know. Anyways, I'm still waiting on mine too.
Yeah, well, you just broke a lot of dependents' hearts out there.
Well,
so.
yeah. Now I'm like, well, shoot, I don't know if I'm even gonna get it.
No, I think everybody's gonna get it. I mean, I don't think are you dependent on anybody's taxes?
In 2019, I think I might have been. I don't know, because a lot of college students are saying that they're not gonna get it.
Well, we're not college students. Technically,
But,
you are.
Well, college
your
students,
degree's still out there.
Shush. College students that were living at home.
That makes sense. Go get your degree already.
They won't
All
give
you
it
need
to
is
me.
one class.
They won't give it to me. I'm not gonna give them $5,000
Oh my
to give it to me.
gosh.
They won't give it to me.
You are the most stubborn person. You spent all that time to get that piece of paper, and now you're in a standoff, and they're like, you need one class, and you're like, no, I'm not doing it. Give it to me. They're like, no. And you're like, well, fine.
They should
Sucks
let me
for
take
you.
the class for free.
My gosh. That's going to do it for us today. We thank you guys for listening on this.
One day when COVID is done.
Today?
When COVID is done. To be fair, I was about to go down, and then COVID happened. So.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, by the time you go back, they're going to have switched the catalog, and you're going to need like 7 classes. So.
Well, then I'll just.
Because, I mean, you graduated, what, 4 years ago now?
It's probably already changed. Who knows?
Oh, no, it has changed. For sure it has changed.
So, we'll see. I guess that will be one of the chapters in 2021.
Yeah. Brandon going to school. Have fun with that. I tried that, and my brain was completely fried.
Did you already give up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I dropped out. Yeah, what do you mean? Didn't I tell you that? Yeah, I dropped out after 1 semester. Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah. I took,
be fair, you were
I took 1
taking-
semester. I passed. And then it was one night in the 2nd semester. I was reading the textbook for the class. It was like the first 3 nights into the semester. And it just hit me. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And so I closed the book and I just dropped my classes. So I got my money back. Oh yeah, that's pretty much how that ended.
That is
So
so funny.
yeah, it was, and all I needed was 10 classes. If I couldn't gut it out through 10 classes, there's no way you're gonna be able to gut it out through 1 class. All right. So
Well, hey,
that's
no,
all I'm
I am
saying.
the king of BSing through a class, so I can do it. I'm not worried about that. I BS my whole way through college. I don't think I took a single class seriously.
Yeah. Neither did I. That's why I was always late. So
Yeah,
Still passed,
yeah.
though.
I either showed up or didn't go. I was rarely late, but I was either
Oh, I
there
was
on
always late.
time or I just didn't show up. Yeah, no.
I was even late to my own
the
final.
best classes were the classes that we took with people, teachers who we were working with, because then they're like, you don't need to come to class today. I'm like, sweet, I will stay at work.
Yeah.
Right, you learn more here, so just
Exactly.
Screw
The
the class.
practical experience is better than
oh yeah.
the textbooks and all that crap. All right. That's going to do
Anyways.
it for us today. I know I've said that like 5 times.
Yep.
For Brandon Stoll on the other
This
side,
music's been
I
playing
am
for like
Steve
10
Bruce
minutes.
Jr. This has been the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast.